Hey folks, Seannosis is back again. Today I'm just gonna go over my apple tree collection that I have here in Jamaica. So far, I think I have over 20 plus varieties growing. And out of that 20 plus, I think I've fruited 5 of them. Alright, so the first one I'm gonna start out with in my collection is winter banana. Winter banana was one of those first grafts that I ever made when I started my journey into grafting apple trees. It's October the 30th and right now we are still getting blossom. This particular tree has not bear any fruit as yet, but I've tasted a winter banana from another graft and it was okay, but it went too long on the tree. This tree was grafted in 2023 and it's coming on very fine, very vigorous. If you look back at my previous videos, you'll see its development. And right now it's putting on a lot of branches. It has blossomed a couple of times, but the blossoms did not take when I tried to cross-pollinate them. Here is the winter banana that fruited for me. Unfortunately, it was in a seedling bag, so I didn't get the chance to transplant it out in time, and when I did, the fruit dropped prematurely. I think I have a few more in the nursery that I'm gonna use to propagate if I get some more fruits and I decide that it's a good keeper. This is a WineCrisp on M111 interstem on a seedling rootstock. WineCrisp is one of those apples that take a while to fully come into its own. It starts off somewhat struggling and then after a while it starts to excel. This was transplanted earlier in the month of September, so I'm giving it a little bit more time. Hopefully by November we start to see the growth surpassing the stake. And here's another example of WineCrisp. This one is coming out very fine, and this one is on a dwarf interstem rootstock. So it's on G41 interstem on a seedling rootstock. And you can see the interstem. So this is the seedling rootstock and this is the dwarf rootstock, G41. And this is the variety WineCrisp. This one is cinnamon spice. It's a very vigorous tree. It's coming on very well. I'm training it to be a tall spindle right here and started to see the branches forming and we're training it. Apple trees, you have to stake them. Whether or not they're on a seedling rootstock or dwarfing or semi-dwarfing rootstock, you have to stake them. So that's cinnamon spice. I have another one on a multi-graft tree that's growing extremely vigorous. And this is it. This is it on a multi-graft tree growing very vigorous. And there's a fruit on it. And it has blossomed a few times, but only one took when I cross-pollinate it with the Wambugu Apple tree. It's very vigorous and I train it to branch out. Nice, somewhat central leader. And the thing is, it was grafted on this multi-graft tree and it has outperformed Fuji. Because if you compare the diameter of the trunk for cinnamon spice versus Fuji, I realized that it's beating it. And the Fuji was grafted in 2023, the first months of 2023, and the cinnamon spice was just grafted last year in between April and May. So the Fuji literally had a 1 year head start ahead of it, but the cinnamon spice seems to be a very vigorous grower, even out competing. Now let me go back down here. So that's 2 cinnamon spice, 1 on a multigraph tree and 1 by itself on a seedling rootstock. Right here we have Sundowner, aka Crisp Red, the sister sibling to Pink Lady. Here's a more finer specimen of it. This was transplanted earlier in the year and you can see it's really coming on very well, branching out, developing this nice lateral shoots that I trained. What I want now is for it to branch up there, but there's a lot of blind wood right there as you can see, but so far so good. But apple trees tend to be at the very top or at the very bottom. There is another Sundowner coming on very well. It has also started to put on a lot of vigorous growth, and it's also on a seedling rootstock. Lateral branches are coming out very well too also, training them to maximize fruit bud development, and I'm very anxious to taste this apple. And the thing is, you know, this one right here, this Sundowner, it blossomed when I transplanted it early this year, but the cross-pollination did not work out when I attempted it out. However, this Williams spread right here, it took, and that is where you saw I did a video doing a taste test, my second taste test on Williams Pride, in the video called 10 Things You Need to Know Before You Plant Apple Trees. And you can see from then it's actually branching out very beautifully, this Williams Pride. So I hope you're keeping track of how much varieties we've gotten so far. Nice, lovely Williams Pride. I think I have probably 4 Williams Pride in the orchard and a few grafted in the nursery. And if you do a flashback, you can see how far it has come during the year, how much branching. Very nice. But before we go down there, we have this nice Albert Etter's variety called Wickson. This is on a seedling rootstock. Started out very small, but now it's putting on a lot of growth. It's putting on a lot of growth, and I'm very anxious again for this type of variety. According to a lot of persons, such as Steve Ed Holmes, aka Skill Cult, it's a very savory apple. Back in this section right here, so we have the most known recommended variety for my climate, and that variety is Dorsett Golden. It's coming on very lovely, putting on a lot of luscious growth and leaves. This was transplanted earlier this year, and it wasn't growing that very well in the nursery, so I decided that, you know what, I'm gonna put it out, and so far so good. Did a lot of pinching right here. See a lot of buds coming out. And you know, once you see that the leaves are large, you know that the tree is getting a lot of micronutrients. So this is Dorsett Golden. I've decided that I'm doing a different training style for it, a somewhat open center. more of an open center training compared to the others that are more modified central lead or tall spindle. And we have another golden Dorsett right here. And this one is also being trained for open center. It's looking very lovely. Also branching out. It's even branching out more than the previous one shown. And my guess is, if I'm lucky, probably by early next year, I'll probably get some blossoms because it's a very precocious variety. According to Coffee Creek, Kevin Osler, if I'm pronouncing his name correct, according to him, Golden Dorsett tends to produce even in second year on seedling rootstock. So we'll see. This was grafted last year. So I think we have one more year to go. Going back over this section, we have King David. We have King David on a seedling rootstock. And this King David was transplanted early this year. I have two King David right now in the orchard. I think I'm going to add some more, but this time I'm going to add it on one of the Geneva rootstocks, either 890 or G41. I'm hearing a lot of positive things about King David, especially from Coffee Creek and from Steve Ed Holmes from Skill Cult. So I'm very anticipating that apple. When it's putting a lot of growth, surprisingly, when I was transplanting it, I damaged a lot of the roots. But cross my fingers, and so far the tree made a very good recovery, especially because it's on a seedling rootstocks. Those roots are very vigorous. Right here we have another variety. This one is called Pixie Crunch, and this one comes out of the PRI breeding program. Just like Williams Pride and Gold Rush, this is another one of the PRI releases. It's a very cute apple based on what I've seen online. It grows very gangly, meaning it grows very skinny and lanky. And it's putting on a lot of growth. So far it has outgrown the stake. I've started to bend down. Started to train it and reduce its vigor somewhat to get more growth and more branching in the center. Okay, so right now we have another one of the Albert Etters variety. This is called Rubaiyat, and this one is grafted on a M111, grafted on a seedling rootstock interstem. I must say this is one of my most vigorous growers in terms of the size of the leaves and the circumference of the trunk or the stem. And I like this growth so far. My guess is because right in this section right here, I did some burning, some biochar burning. And you could never tell based on the amount of greenery that we see right here. The only way we would have known is if you come right down here, you can see the charcoal marks. So that is why biochar burning is very important. And shout out to Skill Cult, Steve Ed Holmes, for providing this technique. It's really helped me a lot in amending my soil and providing the necessary carbons and minerals to get these growths. Right here we have this lovely, lovely tree right here hiding right behind the Sundowner. And I don't think this is what the supplier sent is correct. I don't think this is Hawaii based on what the supplier sent. Because I have another few set of Hawaiis and the leaves don't look like these at all. And that supplier has actually messed up some of my order already, so I won't be surprised if this isn't actually Hawaii variety. But for now I'm just gonna call it that, but I really and truly doubt it is. So this is, according to what was given to me, is Hawaii, and this tree training is coming on very good. In my earlier video of 10 things to do before you grow apple trees here in Jamaica, you would see me training this tree, specific tree, and you see it's come on very well, a lot of lateral branches. I must say it's one of the most beautiful apple trees I have here in the orchard. I like the way how it branches out. And one thing, if you observe closely, you realize that I'm planting my apple trees very closely. This is known as a high density planting style, right? And I know I'm very limited on space, but if you want to plant them close together to get this high density technique down, so you can actually grow more fruits in a small space. Because you know, you have to remember that in the tropics, apple trees tend to be somewhat dwarfing, regardless of the type of rootstock it's on. The tropical climate has a dwarfing effect on apple trees, and I was made aware of this by Kevin Hustler from Coffee Creek, so shout out to him again. He was one of the main pioneers in showing that apples can grow in warm regions, especially even in Africa. Yeah, but so far so good. The diameter of the trunk has put on a lot of growth. And right behind it we have this Lady Williams on a dwarf rootstock G41. And even though the warm climates tend to have a dwarfing effect on apple trees, I realized that particularly G41, the Geneva 41 dwarfing rootstock, does well in our regions. The growth might be somewhat skinny, which is expected from a dwarfing rootstock, but it's put on a lot of growth. It's putting on a lot of growth, and this is Lady Williams. This is the parent to Pink Lady and Sundowner. And I like this so far. It's coming on very well. You have to stake it though. And this was done as a chip bud, which, you know, G41 has a lot of issues based on my research when it comes to the graft union. In high winds, it can easily break if you don't support it. So I know this can be overcome if you do the grafting with a cleft graft or a whip and tongue. But I'm more good at doing the cleft graft, but it's a little bit more difficult to graft on this rootstock, so I don't get a lot of take, but when it does take, it really moves. See here, we're getting a lot of branches at the bottom, as we said before. Right on the top. As you can see, we're getting a lot of branches below. So far so good. And I really like the design of the orchard so far. As you can see, there are a lot of grass coming on. It's looking very lovely. One of the things I like to do the first thing when I wake up in the morning is to come out here and take a walk and observe and inspect the apple trees. And I wasn't expecting this much grass to grow, but this grass came from down the Rubaiyat River in the sand that I used to grow the apple medium. So it's a win-win situation right there. And here we have another Lady Williams. It's on Geneva 890. It's a little bit more vigorous than the G41, as you can see. The diameter of the trunk is very thick compared. And it's also branching out too. Like this one here, I'm guessing I might get some fruit off this next year if I'm lucky. Because according to the literature, it's a very precocious rootstock, semi-dwarf rootstock. It's very similar to M111 in terms of its vigor, but it's more precocious and more disease resistant. And you know, that's true because I planted it right in a section where I didn't believe it would grow, but it has outshined. Planted it right beside this stump right here, and there were a lot of competing grass there, so I had to separate it with these stones, but it really did a good job at growing very, very vigorously. This is Lady Williams, and it's a very late hanging apple according to my research, just like its offspring, Pink Lady. It's a very nice, beautiful red apple based on the videos I've seen on Skill Cult's channel. Okay, here's another variety. This variety is called Hunge, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's called Hunge, Hunge. And this one was recommended by Coffee Creek on his top recommended apples to grow in warm regions. So I saw a few pictures of it that he placed on his website showing it growing in Africa, and it looked like a very nice apple, very vigorous. Also have it on one of the multi-graft tree, and it's been growing very vigorous. Again, I'm training it to be a modified central leader. You see at the base, you see that it's branching there, like it's coming on very, very, very well. All right, so this is another variety. This one is called Mollie's Delicious. This one is also on a seeding rootstock, and this has recovered very well in terms of growth. Earlier in the year, I had to prune it way back because it wasn't growing very well, so I had to prune it way back right here. Right where this tag is, I had to prune it back right there to get the growth. And you can see where I pruned it actually branched out a lot. Then from there, it actually put on a lot of growth. You know, that is one of the ways to kind of force growth out of apple trees when they are behaving stubborn or runted out. You have to prune them. But it's not going to work all the time, but most of the time it does. Right, how much variety that we've gone so far? And we have another variety right here recommended by Kevin Hausler from Coffee Creek. This one is Golden Gem. It's a russet apple. I know I have another russet. I think I have a few more russets in here, you know. But this is one of them. This is another one of them. And it's on a seedling rootstock. And it's growing very vigorously. You can see it's putting on a lot of branches. It's putting on a lot of branches right here. And I also have this one in the nursery and on a multi-graft tree, and it's also growing very vigorous, just like the Hunge apple. I'm gonna cut it right here and then continue back in the evening or next day, but those are the ones that we have so far. All right, we're back, and it's been between 5 to 6 days. And in that short period of time, Lady Williams on Geneva 890 has started to bloom. So that's another very excited observation. Just in that short period of time. I remember I was saying that I really hope that this blossom next year, but seems like we're getting it earlier. And this was grafted last year, around this time, August the 13th. Remember transplanting it, not grafted, but transplanting it rather, last year. Now coming back to where we left off, here we have Spartan a seedling rootstock. This one is doing very well. It's got a lot of growth. Basically, it's around 8 to 9 feet tall. I had to actually bend it back to reduce the growth, and hopefully this might force more branches in the center. As you can see, we have a lot of branches done at the base, so hopefully we get some more branches at the top. So this is Spartan, and right beside Spartan we have early Fuji and a seedling rootstock. And the thing with Fuji, this variety wants to grow very bushy. I think an open center style fits this type of variety because of its nature. And here's another early Fuji and seedling rootstock. Right beside this Lady Williams, we have a Wambugu Apple tree. And this Wambugu Apple tree is starting to blossom. This was transplanted last year in Labor Day, to exact 2024. And this tree is on a seedling rootstock. And it's very vigorous. I had to actually tie it down and train it to an open center. And it is starting to bloom. And from the last time when I was doing this, there were no blossom on it, but just within that 6-day, 5-day period, we're starting to see a lot of blossoms. So this is the Wambugu apple. I have a few more in the orchard. Right beside the Wambugu apple, we have Hawaii. Hawaii is really growing like a monster. It was grafted in 2023 and transplanted in 2023 also. And it was growing very lengthy, but now it's thickening up around the base of the trunk. This is my largest apple tree overall in terms of size and spread, the Hawaii. As you can see, the trunk, circumference of the trunk is very thick. And based on my research, it's a desert apple, meaning that it can be ate from the tree. You don't have to process it. And right beside Hawaii, we have King David. And remember this King David tree that we grafted in How to Graft Apple Trees in Jamaica. It's been 2 years, and you know, it's put on a lot of growth in that period of time from 2023. So right now I'm just waiting on the blossoms. I see a lot of fruit buds on it. I've heard a lot of rave reviews about King David. It's a lot of home backyard growers' favorite. And right beside King David, we have good old Gold Rush. You know, recently I just harvested some fruits from it and it's back blooming again. This has been the overall top performer and producer for me this year, Gold Rush. So far, I think I've eaten about 7 Gold Rush apples. So that's the most. Coming on very nice, putting on back some more blossoms. Yeah, this is Gold Rush. Probably these blossoms will take or they won't take. Currently I have the Wickson crab apple blossoming. Just within that short period of time, it's in its full bloom. Hopefully we can get some pollen from it and pollinate the Gold Rush apples. Here we have Gold Rush on a seedling rootstock branching out very beautifully. This one is doing very nice on the seedling rootstock. And you know, Gold Rush is a very precocious variety, so I wouldn't be surprised if this actually blossomed this year. Right here, we have this nice pink lady here grafted on a seedling rootstock. I see a lot of potential fruit buds, but I'm not sure. But I like how this tree is coming on. It wants to grow very columnar, the pink lady. It has a very columnar trait about it. This pink lady looks like a identical tree that another user on the Growing Fruit forum posted. It has the same growth patterns, columnar look. It doesn't really want to branch out laterally. You have to actually train it very rigid because it's very stubborn in wanting to branch out. It wants to grow columnar, as I said before. Right here we have another pink lady on a seedling rootstock. This one bloomed for me last year and this year, but still did not get it to pollinate correctly. But I like the growth pattern of it. But I'm seeing a lot of infections in the orchard right now, so I'm going to have to get a fungicide spray to kind of reduce the fungal spores. But hopefully most of the trees are very resistant and can fight off this outbreak. So this is pink lady on a seedling rootstock. This pink lady, although I've trained it very well, I think it's somewhat still columnar due to its nature. It wants to put out the branches, but it doesn't want to grow them very lateral. As you can see, put out the branches then, but they are very stubby. But probably, as I said, this is just the growth habit of the pink lady. So this is Enterprise, another one of the PRI disease resistance program apples. And this one has grown very vigorous. I've seen some form of infection, but the tree is able to fight it off. And I've gotten a blossom from this variety, but not this tree. I've had it on another multigraph tree. But again, it didn't produce any fruit because I didn't have any pollinators at the time. So this is Enterprise. And this Enterprise tree has Lady Williams and Waltana grafted onto it. And this Waltana actually blossomed. It bloomed this year. Both these branches bloomed this year, but again, no fruit. And I think it got infected, but the Enterprise was able to fight off that infection. Actually, I had to remove some of the dead bark right here. But it's fighting it off and very disease resistant. So this is the method I'll be using to do multigraph trees in the future, using the Enterprise. And here we have a lovely golden Russet and seedling rootstock by itself. It's coming on very well. However, from time to time I have to prune it whenever I see any form of canker or potential fire blight. There's a tree that you have to inspect. See a lot of fruiting spurs on it too also. But Based on what I've observed online, this tree tends to bloom on its tip. It's a tip bearer. It put out a lot of branches, as you can see. It's a lovely tree. I like how it's coming on so far. They typically grow this way, lanky. It's around this corner here. And this is gonna be the last one. This is another Royal Gala and a seedling rootstock. The diameter of the trunk is very thick compared to my other Royal Gala. It's the largest one I have so far. Very tall. I'm assuming at least 8 feet. Stretching. However, I've not gotten any blossoms from it as yet. So, hopefully once the weather cools down during the winter, I'll see a few blossoms. Okay folks, so that's it. That's just a small review and cataloging of my apple tree collection here in Jamaica. I'm out.